Hey there, welcome to another episode of the Coffee Solo audio program. We're recording this at 11:12 at night, Friday, July 11th, 2025. The episode is 2025-07-11-01. I have to admit this right up front. I was going to record this about 23 hours ago, so this might have been episode 2 for the same day, but this is not a common occurrence, but I drifted off to sleep. And who am I to argue? So here we are, late night, July 11. It's a Friday. What better time than create another episode of Coffee Solo? I don't have a title. I don't have a summary. Same links as always. Affiliate link for Nasal Fresh, which I have not used in several days, but today I really should have used it earlier today. So you can hear that what happens when I don't use it regularly. I was trying to see how long, because the weather is getting really hot. I mean, mid-July is basically the hottest time of the year in the Vegas area. Historically, last year we hit 120 degrees, I think. I think it was the 9th, maybe. So right around now, somewhere in here. So it's supposed to be 110 in a couple days, so it's getting warmer. I'm really hoping some of the allergens are floating in the air are finding their way somewhere else, but I think today was not the case. I went to the store this morning, so I was outside. When I got back, it was a little congested with stuff. I know you don't want to hear about allergy stuff, so let's move on. But I'll fill in the summary with something interesting when I'm finished here. I have an outline with 6 items. First of all, if you've come here to listen to an update about my right ankle, lower leg area, I'll keep it brief. I've been walking a lot more. I think I've been overdoing it a little bit. Now my right ankle feels just sore. It feels like tired and like achy. So I don't think it's getting worse, but I think I'm just I'm becoming overconfident. So I think I need to do more stretching and less walking. Even though walking is low impact, I think I'm just overdoing it. But generally speaking, just continuing to improve. I use my cane almost 0%. I usually carry it with me just in case. If I walk to the grocery store and back, it gets a little tiring when you're exercising a lot and your leg or your arm or whatever you're doing exercises on, when you run out, when you've maxed out. So it's that kind of tired, like, gotta rest. So I need to walk more in general, but I think I need to take a little break. Just allow the muscles to calm, to rest. When you think about it, when you go to the gym, you're going to take a day or 2 off somewhere in there in your schedule. So I really have not been doing that. Walking is one of those things that we all do. It's on the list of like, oh yeah, I do it all the time. So I think I have to actually proactively not walk for maybe this weekend. See if that helps. Generally continuing to improve. Local media in Vegas is weird. I was just watching. No, this is not the traditional local media. There's a YouTuber here in Vegas. His channel is Not Leaving Las Vegas, as in the movie Leaving Las Vegas. So he's not. And his name is Steven something. I think he said he's lived here for 21 years. I watch his stuff every once in a while. He wanders around on the strip or downtown. Sometimes he goes into some of the dodgy or sketchy areas, and he does sort of like man on the street recording kind of stuff. He'll talk to people, and he does little mini documentaries and stuff. It's kind of interesting. He's a little, I guess there's like a YouTuber community here, and I do not like the word community. It's thrown around too much. But there are YouTubers. There's a bunch of YouTubers, and I guess there's little cliques, and he's generally not in the cliques. So I think they don't like him, and I think he doesn't care at this point, which means he doesn't like them. But it's interesting to watch his content because he tends to tell it like it is / kind of overdo the negativity. I can be negative. People have accused me of, you're so negative. And I always say, I'm not negative. I'm telling you what the problems are so we can fix them. So literally just now he was standing outside of a Denny's on the strip, and I do not remember where this Denny's is, but it's not the one downtown. I've been to the one downtown many times. That actually, I mean, I've stopped at that Denny's before, uh, at a good time when not, say, driving was a good idea. So the Denny's downtown, thumbs up. But this one, he literally went around. There's an escalator. He goes up the escalator. He wanders around, goes back down, and he's commenting about how dead it is. He's been doing a whole series for the past couple of weeks on the reduced tourism in Vegas, whatnot. So there's a whole group of people, possibly out of towners, like from other countries, perhaps. And he's yelling at them, "Don't do it! Don't go up if the food is crap." So that's kind of crossing over into a dodgy line where people may just go, "You know what? We don't like you either." So I don't know. But anyway, the media here, though, is very strange. There are certain people that are cynical, like this guy, Stephen, whatever his name is. Stephen, last name unknown, if you get that. There are some people who are they're too gung-ho, I think it is. And I mean, it's fine if you want to be pro, wherever you live. That's fine. It's almost like being a sports fan. You're all about the Golden Knights. You're all about the Raiders. Okay, that's fine. But if it starts skewing into like the way that you describe things, or the way that if you're going to do content like this, if you're going to start saying like, well, I'm a big Denny's fan, so I'm going to go ahead and tell people this place is awesome, even if it might not be, or maybe it's not awesome. If you're not a fan, maybe you're more of a fan of what's a 24-hour place downtown otherwise? White Castle. Maybe, go to White Castle. That's way better, right? So okay, great. But if you're going to sort of indulge in exaggeration, I think that's problematic. And so what we end up with in Vegas is, I think people, the commercial media underreports things, including this tourism downturn. There's a lot of susceptibility to hype, unless there's actual reporting. So the actual reporting is done on things like crime, some political adventures. If a tourist or even a local wins a big jackpot, that'll make the news. If there's housing development problems, the baseball stadium is sort of reported. I don't really see some of the details that you get on more of the baseball-centric websites and commentary. One of these, I can tell right now, I'll just say very briefly, when I was working at UMax Computer Corporation in Santa Clara, California, the Oakland Coliseum was going to get a name, just like was becoming common back then. I want to say it was 1999, 98. I think it was 98. So UMax Computer Corporation was going to put the name, UMax Technologies, the scanners, if you ever had a UMax scanner. They were in Fremont, and we were in Santa Clara, right across the street from Great America, which I just read today is going to close. So many good memories of riding Top Gun during lunch. But the UMax Coliseum was going to be a thing somewhere. I don't know if I still have it. I had a T-shirt. We had a little party. We had a box seat. We had a big gathering at Comdex. Remember Comdex? At Comdex that year, we had a Raiders-themed booth. So we had 4 Raiderette cheerleaders that would do a show every 20 minutes, just doing a cheer for UMax, right? AstroTurf booth rug thing. We were dressed in like shorts and like Raider style athletic type gear. So good times. And then there's a thing called the Joint Powers Group. It was basically City of Oakland, the Raiders, the team owners of the Raiders, and the team owners of the A's, the Athletics, the Oakland Athletics. And the Joint Powers, guess what they had? They had power over such things as Coliseum naming and any other promotions and whatnot. So the Raiders and the city, and I assume maybe the property owners, I don't know who actually owns the property. At the time, that was out of my, I'm an engineer, man. I'm not an attorney negotiating deals like this. But everything was fine, except that the Oakland A's backed out at the last minute and put the whole thing under, and it basically fell through. So there was going to be a UMax Coliseum, and then there wasn't. And it was due in no small part to the Oakland Athletics being jerks. So I don't have high hopes for the Athletics actually moving to Vegas, actually building the stadium or completing it. that's just going to be a big giant mess. And this is another case of eyeballs with dollar signs without regard to on the ground impact and reality and so on. So it'll be interesting to watch. A lot of the details that they don't go into the detail about the UMass Coliseum, but they're basically expressing doubts about this. It's people that are not in the so-called mainstream media here. So it's going to be kind of interesting to see how that unfolds. But in general, I believe it is true that the media here tends to be protective of the fun economy. They don't want to talk about the reduction in tourism. They don't want to spend too much time talking about parking fees and resort fees and all this stuff that people don't like. So you start to read about these in other non-local press outlets. You hear about it from the YouTubers. You hear about it from people just commenting in general. People who visit Vegas a lot, they'll say, "Oh, I come here 50 times a year, and the prices are going up." Now there's talk about deep discounts and summer deals to try to bring some tourism back. So it'll be interesting to see. But the local media here is definitely, like, they skew their coverage to sensational. Now, not that there isn't sensational stuff to cover. There's always somebody getting hit by a car or injured in a shooting, and those are bad things. And I would like to have less of those, especially when I get back out into my pedestrian lifestyle. I never like to hear about pedestrians being hit by cars, especially hit and run. So I'm like, hey, that could be me one of these days. I hope not. So it's good to cover those things. It's important to cover those things, but those kinds of stories displace other things like reality, like the viability of our tech scene, and I hate that term, the startup scene, companies opening and closing. They do it with restaurants. They don't do it with startups. Now, if you were a fan of Silicon Valley back in the 90s, especially the late 90s, there was a website. There is a website and a brand called Fast Company, and there was a guy who took that name and made a parody website. And to keep it clean, I'll just say it was Effed Company. It was spelled out. Same logo, so it was just a parody of Fast Company. And this website used to report explicitly on startups that were shutting down or failing or didn't get funding or ran out of money or whatever the case. So it was usually not gossip so much, but insider like tips and whatnot. And this is before Scott Adams, is that his name? The Dilbert guy. Before he became a monster, he would talk about how he wrote Dilbert was he would get, if he could get the same tip from more than one person, like the same general notion, or two people at a company, or, so from two different email addresses, essentially, he would use that as inspiration for his Dilbert comic strip, because he didn't want one person to get like, oh, that must have been Bob in accounting. This is directly, so as long as there were multiple people telling similar stories or whatever, I think that would be interesting here if there was just more talking about what's going on when things are not working. I did some commentary on the Formula One races when they were here in 2023 and then in 2024. So November 2023, 24. I assume they'll be here for 25. And then I think the contract is up for renewal. There's a lot of hype. The headlines are always like, oh, it's awesome. Great. Everybody wins. And then you don't find out until later, and it's not necessarily front page news. Smaller businesses really got crushed. They diverted traffic, so cars, foot traffic. They made certain places just not even reduced traffic, but difficult to get to, the footbridge and some other things. So just some diversions and distractions and whatnot. Tourism generally impacted. They cut the Bellagio trees down the first year. I think they cut them down again the second year, or they definitely removed them. So I don't know if they've solved the like temporary removal and replacement loop. But yeah, people are not happy about that. So, and then there's several lawsuits. I think they're still pending. They're suing the LVCVA, the county commission or commissioners. I don't know if they're suing individuals, I think. In one case, maybe they are, at least. I think. I haven't looked at this since November. I think there's 4 lawsuits. I could be wrong. But these things don't get a lot of attention. So I'm predicting that the baseball stadium will have some sort of the cover story, and then the here's the real problem, or here's how it really screwed over everybody. And the Agilent Stadium has actually turned out really well, I think, and the Raiders have been good stewards of the attention that they've received and the facilities. I think they do participate in the community, from what I understand, as far as like educating youth and youth outreach in general, and they sponsor a lot of outreach events and so on. I cannot name any at the moment, but I know that the NFL Alumni Association is fairly active in conjunction with the Raiders. So I think they've been pretty good. I think the Golden Knights have been very popular here, and hopefully they've been able to leverage that. So, I mean, if we're going to have this professional athletic stuff going on, hopefully it ends up being some net positive other than, profit. I don't know if that'll be true with the A's. And I have a feeling we're going to start hearing I think the stadium's supposed to be built by 2028. I don't know about that. I mean, we'll see also with the Brightline train or high-speed, not high-speed rail, but the rail project, Brightline West. It's supposed to go from Vegas to somewhere in LA, and I don't remember where it's supposed to end. The planning is very odd on the Los Angeles side because it doesn't actually go to downtown Los Angeles. So you got to change trains, and it's supposedly going to add 40 minutes or whatever. And then the tickets to go from wherever on the LA region somewhere to Vegas, I don't know if it's round trip. It's supposed to be in the hundreds of dollars. And that's, I can't imagine that being a starter. It seems like a non-starter. So I'm just wondering, like, these things get covered as though they are done deals or there's nothing but upside. You don't hear about the negatives until a little bit later, and that seems problematic. In a city, as Penn Jillette would tell you, in a city that's built on the inability of people to do math, where people celebrate 93% returns on our slots. Okay, so yeah, I've talked about the in Las Vegas initiative or project, my project. It will be built on the My Muni and Welcome initiative from the Innovative Vegas Foundation, which is my nonprofit. So a big open source project initiative with several sub-projects. And then we'll deploy it as in Las Vegas, and then we'll sort of get into the media business here. And so I'm kind of paying attention to how that works. So we'll see. We'll see what's going on. But I would like to see more coverage or more light shining upon the entrepreneurial innovation ecosystem here, which is very weird. It needs more bottom-up examination. So what we end up with is, and this is sort of in keeping with the theme, you'll get people from the university, the economic development folks, people with the city, people with the county. They're all very excited. The Las Vegas Global Economic Alliance is very excited about the entrepreneurial community. They hired a VP of entrepreneurial, I don't know if it was ecosystem development, but they really want to have funded startups. They want to have a higher population of software engineers because they're looking at startups as software companies. And they really want to have a lot of exits. So they want to have some sort of financial success. And I always tell people, exit can also mean they take the money and leave. There's this notion that, people will just stay here. There's a lot of moving parts in a geographical startup region, right? So I've talked to some VCs over the past 2 years. They really are interested in the resources being present. The old adage that if you're well, it's not an adage really, but if you get funding from Sand Hill Road, they really want you to move closer to Menlo Park than wherever you are now. Like, hey, we're giving you a big giant check. Why don't you move to somewhere that we don't have to drive as far to come and visit? So they really want you to be. Now, there's funding sources in other places, and there's a little bit more talk now about access to capital locally from local investment or people forming investment outlets, I guess. Moving resources here, moving a presence for other investment possibilities. For a while, there was an Andreessen Horowitz buzz. And just the other day, they said they're moving their incorporation from Delaware to Nevada. So A16Z, Andreessen Horowitz, will be a Nevada corporation. Yay. That doesn't mean they have to do business here. So I guess the city will use it as a press opportunity, get some hype. And then and then nothing will happen. Because where are they going to hype it? They're going to hype it on LinkedIn, of course. And the people in the real world don't follow Bo Bernard or Len Jessup or whomever else, right? They don't follow the people that are working at the university or are in the investment game. Or if they do, if they're in that business, they may be looking at Vegas and saying, okay, so they're incorporating there, but I know that doesn't mean that they're going to be setting up shop there. In fact, Mark Andreessen was going to acquire a residence in the Vegas area, and that fell through. I think he started looking at creating a crypto city in the Bay Area somewhere, Northern California. So Ben Horowitz and his wife live here in Vegas, sometimes at least. They donated several cyber trucks to the Las Vegas Metropolitan Police Department, so we should question their judgment, I suppose. But good for him. I know they've been giving money to the LVMPD, the Las Vegas Metropolitan Police Department, so that this will be a high-tech police force making Las Vegas the safest city in the world. That might be true. Good for them. I hope it is true. I mean, like I said, I wander the streets every once in a while here in my suburban part of town. It'd be nice if it was safer. Why not? But I would really like to see more attention paid. And today I did an episode of the Cafe Genius Impresarios. You should check it out. And I was talking about ecosystem introspection. I think we should be using some of the modern technology to do continuous monitoring, including opinions from people on the ground trying to be entrepreneurial, mentioning and referring to things that work and things that don't. We can keep track of those things. I liken it to a weather report. Get the weather report every day, more than that. But if you want to set up your startup here in Vegas, well, let's see. Oh, the last report was from 2 years. Oh, there's another report from June. Wow, they say the same things. Nothing has changed over the last 2 years. Let me check out Deal Room. Oh, there's no indication how accurate any of this data is. Let me contact the LVGEA. They're talking about having an ecosystem. Oh, all their resources are old. They're still talking about stuff from 5 or 10 years ago. Interesting. Oh, look at this. Look at these startups. They keep talking about the same startups over and over again. Yeah, don't get me started. So these are problems, and it comes mostly from the fact that there's no communication, there's no recognition and celebration, there's no denouement for startups that fail. Those should be examined just as closely as the startups that are starting, that are succeeding, and so on. Like, what can we do better? What can people learn from them, and so on? Those get swept under the rug. It's unfortunate. But enough about that. I did a whole episode about it. And I've done a couple of episodes recently that are focused more on introspection and kind of figuring out what works and what doesn't if you wanted to make a startup of any kind here in Vegas. And by the way, there's over focus on tech startups. I really think entrepreneurialism should be about turning an idea into a concern, a business, company, whatever. But here they think, oh, startup, that means you're building mobile apps, right? It's like when you say, this happened to me. I contacted the city one time and I said, hey, you guys did a smart city hackathon when I was working for Intel a couple of years ago. Have you ever considered doing a dumb city hackathon where you consider what might happen if all the quote unquote smart city stuff that's deployed as of a couple of years ago, what if that stuff fails? Then what? Right? No internet, no electricity. You know, what's going to happen? Or is the city prepared for something like that? Because at any given time, so the population of Clark County is about 2.3 million. At any given time, there's as many as 800,000 people probably more in the Strip area, but they're visiting some part of the greater Vegas area. So that brings the population up to around 3 million. That's a chunk of, that's like I'm throwing numbers around and getting some error bars now, but it's like 30% of the people on the ground at any given time. And I'm kind of factoring in the 6% reduction in tourism for the first half of the year, this year over last year. But say it's not a million. It was about 800,000 a week. Sorry, 41.7 million total for 2024. So I'm going to guess. So say it's 700,000 or something. I don't know. So that's still, 3 million people. So that's a chunk of people that are not from here. Are they going to know what to do? Are they going to know where to go? The power's out. There's a big flood. These things really do happen here. So, by the way, we have a huge fault system in Southern Nevada. I've literally, with the Switch, which is kind of a data center company, they literally were presenting how there's no earthquake danger here. And you're like, there's more faults here than in Southern California. More active faults, too. So enough about that. I'll talk about this again. And I talk about it on Cafe Genius Impresarios often. I'm still doing Amazon reviews, by the way. They deleted one. I wrote a 3-star review for this spoon holder thing. It's made of silicone. It has these funky spoon rests and whatnot. It's an odd product. I got it because I figured, so I'll review it. So I tried. Most of the reason it was a 3-star review is because they labeled the product incorrectly with what it would come with. I wasn't the only one that did that. So I'm like, they said it was going to come with these 2 extra things. It didn't. That's one of the reasons I wanted to try it out. So kind of felt disappointed. And then I said, it's really not appealing visually. It's a little weird. So I said, so it's really not a product for everyone, but do note that you're not going to get what they describe it as. So they fixed that. And I have since learned that this thing is really useful as a drink coaster of sorts. So I have it near my computer, and because it's like a 1/4 of an inch tall, like there's a lip of silicone around it, and kind of a wide base. It's kind of oddly shaped too. But if I put my coffee or a beverage if I use this as a silicone coaster, it has this 1/4 inch lip around it. So on the off chance, now, if I knock over something tall, like a tall beverage glass or something, it's probably going to spill everywhere. But if my coffee decides to spill a little bit or something, I'm not going to go, oh no, right? It's going to be contained. So I was going to update my review and say, hey, you know what? First of all, they fixed the product description, so it's now accurate. Second of all, I've found a use case that actually works really well, and I would give it 4 stars because it's really, it's not what people intended, but it does do something that I didn't anticipate. But they deleted my review for some reason, and it's not marked I still get credit for it in my review statistics. But I find that very odd, and it leads me to wonder, do I want to check this out? What's going on with this? So we'll see. I don't know. I'm tempted to check, but I've reviewed over 100 things. I have 74. No, I've reviewed 104 and I have 77 items. And I have not received all the items. I'll be getting a few next week. So I probably have 68, I think it is, items in my possession that I need to write reviews for. And that seems like a lot, but only because it is. I'm trying to write reviews more quickly after I receive an item and I have a chance to try it out, because I do write a legitimate review. So that may be slowing me down, but it's still a thing that I've been spending my time on. And I've gotten a lot of products that I wouldn't have purchased or even looked at. Some of them are junk. I got these 2 temperature loggers. Why 2? Because I wanted to do a comparison of, say, for example, a thermally insulated bag. So I want to put an ice pack in the bag. I want to put 1 temperature logger in the bag and 1 outside. And then I'm going to go outside into the temperature, what did I say, 110, and it's going to be, I think, on Tuesday, forecast, 110. So I'm going to go out in the Nevada heat, the nice hot summer, and I'm going to see how well this thermally insulated bag will actually hold temperature, or if this ice pack will just melt. So I have 2 temperature loggers. I can compare that. The temperature loggers are garbage, so that's kind of unfortunate. They'll probably be close enough, but they're really not good products, so disappointing. I would buy an Arduino and 2 temperature sensors. And I actually have the Arduino, and I probably have 2 temperature sensors. So I'll put that on my to-do list on page 20. But yeah, I've got several. I have a clock, desk/wall clock that sets itself with a radio beacon, not GPS. That would be too modern. So it's useful, but I just noticed the other day it has lost 1 minute. And it only resynchronizes the time when it feels like it, which is not now. I just looked. So yeah, the clock is wrong. And it should say, oh, by the way, we drift by 1 minute. So here again, an Arduino or some product that has a GPS receiver that you can use it to sync the time there, or you can, if you can access a local NTP server, like I have NTP running on my computer, it could just synchronize with, internet time, which is also nice and accurate. So,
Could you please finish your request? What would you
no,
like me to
no,
synchronize?
no, stop. Computer, stop. I'm going to put it in quotes. I upgraded to Alexa Plus. Okay, no response. Good. I don't like it. It's annoying. It does that more often than it used to when I just had regular old dumb that thing. So very frustrating, very annoying. But anyway, yeah, the Amazon review thing, it still works for me. I still like it. I'm still enjoying doing it, and I have access to all these products. I've gotten several, like I said, interesting things that I probably wouldn't have purchased otherwise. But it's a little odd that they would just delete a review that was honest. It was completely 100% honest review, totally legitimate. And like I said, someone else said something similar regarding the product description being inaccurate. So, and that review is still there. So I'm a little curious. I mean, Amazon is Amazon. It's like the big giant, it's the definition of bourgeois, right? So who knows? The person that lives upstairs from me, his name is Raymond. I don't know his last name. That's fine. I'm thinking about creating an audio program specifically capturing all of his antics that could go on at any time of any day or night. The other day, 4:30 in the morning, it sounded like he was throwing a body around. And this very, very loud, high impulse audio shakes my home a little bit. Not cool at 4:30 in the morning. And I've tried to get attention, maybe get some consultation between my upstairs neighbor and the management, the folks in management. It doesn't seem to be doing anything or effective in any way. It's been months. So I'm not really thrilled by that. So I'm thinking of creating an audio program. I just record the antics, and I would call it the Noisy Raymond program. And I would just publish hours and hours of thumping and shaking, and now it's also add awful hours and hours of awful guitar playing, keyboard playing, and occasionally some singing, and it's pretty bad. Anyway, I'm gonna wrap this up. Epstein, hilarious. I just want to point out, if you've read 1984, the three people that get killed or that disappear or they keep getting referenced, so their names pop up a lot. And what are their names? They always get hyped. They're vaporized. What is it? Was it Samir? I'm not finding the names. Anyway, Epstein, they say the name. It brings back a memory when I read the book, and I've seen the movie, and I've did another audio book that was more of an interpretation of the story, and it just makes me. Wait, am I going to find it? Camera, whether there's problems or why am I having trouble? Noisy Raymond is doing his thing. Anyway, so hopefully the silence will get truncated. I just paused. I just didn't say anything for a moment. The Epstein thing is starting to sound like a name that's just a noise, when you say the same word over and over again. So it's like this ethereal character. I know he's a real person, allegedly, but it just seems very weird. This whole thing is very strange. So I don't know. This is just very odd. I just wanted to draw that line in the sand. If you happen to know what the three characters in what is it? The three names. Yeah, I don't know why I can't find these names. Anyway, so Epstein, it just reminds me of that. So I'm going to leave it there and try to remember what those names are. So thanks for listening, as always. Thinking about doing like an alt coffee solo and publishing it as a normal feed like 1 week later or something. I'll think about it. Anyway, thanks for listening. Check it out. Check this out. Check out all my audio programs. Do something. Thanks.